Come on in the room. Come on in the room. I absolutely had not planned to do a live today. The live the other day blessed me so, and I really believe that that would hold us for a moment. However, as I was just standing in my bathroom, the Father began to speak to me about and impress upon me this word that I want to share with you tonight in this live, the unmuted man. And again, just kind of bear with me. I'm still kind of trying to work around what's going on in my mouth. I'm still trying to work around that. So bear with me if you will. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. I'm going to give you guys just a few moments to get in here. Come on in. Come on in. Good evening. Good evening. When you get in, let me know you're in the room. Bear with me. I'm gonna barrel through here, regardless of what's going on. With my mouth right now, I'm going to barrel through here because I just believe that this is a word of Yah for the sons of Yah, for the men, for the husbandmen, whether you are currently a husband or a husband desiring to be. This word is for you tonight. This word is for you. And I told you guys yesterday, He did not give me any particular days or anything like that. He just gave me an assignment. And so I am certain that this is for a purpose because often I have days, right? Often I have days and I have times, but He's obviously training me for something in this season. And I believe that He just wants us to be able to hear Him when He speaks. That's what I believe, that we're in a season where when the Father begins to speak a word, we need to be able to respond to that word. So bear with me for a moment. I'm going to give you guys just maybe about a few more seconds to get in the room and to invite somebody. I'm trying to identify how I need to speak that relieves the pressure that's going on. Yeah, we're going to work around this thing tonight. The Father's going to give me the grace. His grace is sufficient. And so we're going to work around it. He gave me a word, and I believe that it is for you tonight. I am going to share it. We're coming out of Ephesians originally, chapter 5. And you can go there in your leisure because these are just conversations that I'm having with the sons, with the men. You are on the Unmuted Man live right now. It's a word that He gave me, and I believe that it's a powerful word. He is desirous to hear the voice of the men in this season. And so He has assigned me, because I think a lot of women are really frustrated in this season with what they are encountering with men. But my question is, who is giving the information? Because we can only know what we do. We can only do what we know. We can't do more than what we know. And this is simply not being taught. Men are not being taught to be husbands. But there was a kingdom conversation. There is a kingdom message regarding the husband. And from cover to cover, every subject has been discussed from cover to cover. Anything you can think of, the Father, in His infinite wisdom, inspired men to write words that would cover the gamut of so many different things that pertain to your life and the living of your life in a godly manner. And it's just a powerful book that I believe you should take the time. You should take the time to read it because so much powerful information in the Word. And no matter what people try to do to the Bible, if you follow the instructions, basic instructions like study to show yourself approved. If you study, darkness cannot change everything about what was written. The study, most people know, darkness knows that most people won't dig deep. They will not dig deep enough to identify what the truth is. They will not sit in the presence of the Father long enough to hear and to see and to identify. When I say hear, I don't just mean audibly. I mean sitting still to be able to observe and to know something. And that could come in so many different ways. It could come by what is crossing your path. It could come in your email. It could come outside of your window. It could just be a thought that has entered your heart or your mind, and you simply would know that it's not you because it's not a thought that you would come up with. It's not often when the Father is speaking to us, it's something that we are not thrilled about doing. Like tonight, I'm not thrilled about having to be on this live and talking almost with my teeth gritted, you know, to keep from rubbing this jagged tooth against the side of my tongue. I'm not excited about that, but I recognize that there is a blessing in obedience. So I'm here tonight. And like I said, we will be originally starting the conversation based on Ephesians chapter 5. And it talks about the washing uh, of the water by the word, the washing of water by the word. And we talked a little bit about it yesterday when we had our very first conversation around this topic, the unmuted man. But today I kind of jotted down exactly what he was saying to me because I don't want to be here very long. But I do want to give you exactly what he gave me. Of course, he'll add in some things as we're moving along, but I want to definitely cover what he gave me. So the first thing that he began to talk about was that he might wash her by the watering of words. And we talked a little bit about this yesterday, how the man's words are water for his wife, for the womb that the Father is giving him, that the Father has given him. Those words are water. And so that means that the words must be pure and from a high, not a low grade frequency, from a high place, not a low place. And what I mean by the words being from a high place, you know, the scripture discusses how the Father felt about the Hebrew children. And so he began to share with them the land that I'm taking you to. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I feel the need to go here now. It's not like the place of captivity that you came from. I will repeat this because I believe it's power in this sentence and in this phrase that he's given me to share with you. That the man is actually delivering his womb from potential captivities. He's delivering her from the labor and from the toil. Okay? He says, I'm going to cause it to rain on the land that I'm sending you into. And as a matter of fact, not only am I going to cause it to rain, but my eyes are on that place. We're going to come back to that. So these words must not be of a low grade, of a low nature, just for mere purposes of achieving something other than the beautifying of the field, the beautifying of the flower, the beautifying of the fruit. And so the man is not only the announcer of the weather, he's not only the forecaster of the weather, and he can forecast it because he is absolutely the climate himself. Now, I know we talk a lot about women creating an environment, and that is true. But this is an equal, this thing is a responsibility that is within both the man and the woman's authority to create environments. And actually, the man is the creator of the environment, and the woman assists in sustaining the environment. She is the co-laborer. She is the help, the assistant, the other part of the merger to make sure that this brand, to make sure that this covenant is kept, okay? And so he's not only the forecaster of the climate, because he says, listen, I'm going to wash you by the water of my words, right? And we know that the Father's talking about the word as water, but he is referring to how the husband should use his words to cause his wife or his womb to flourish. Okay? And it's a lot in that. We may unpack that the next time we come together. There's a lot contained in that statement whereas the man is causing the womb to flourish. You know, one of the things that the Father began to say to man, and one of the things that he decided about man before he was even formed, was that he was going to have something. And that one of the things that he was going to be capable of, able to do, very able to do, is to be fruitful and to multiply. Now, I'm not just talking about this from the physical sense of having children. I'm speaking of this from the sense of producing things, being producers in the earth, producers of his glory, producers of his goodness, producers of wealth, okay? Producers of things that glorify the Father and that bless people. Because you have to remember that when the Father began to have a discussion about covenant, everybody he spoke to, from Noah on into the children of Israel, he began to speak on the rise of, I'm going to bless you to be a blessing. It's not just for you, okay? Not just for you, but it's for the purpose that I would establish my covenant with you so that people around you would also be blessed. Now, let me take just a few moments and see who's in the room. Blessings to you, Minister Anthony. Thank you so much for being in the room with me tonight. You guys forgive me if I'm not paying a whole lot of attention to the comments. I'm going to move some things over so I can just kind of see the comments. I want you to know that I'm not ignoring you. I just really want to get through this word. I want to share it, and I want to declare it so that you can receive it and become it, okay? So the man is not just the forecaster. It's not just the announcer of the weather, but he also is the climate himself. Okay, and again, it's not just enough for the rain to fall. It is necessary that the climate be conducive for the growth of harvest. You know, you understand what I'm saying? The climate must be conducive for the growth of harvest. I'm going to put that in the room real quick. Okay, the climate must be conducive for the growth of harvest. This is very important. Okay, very important. We're going to put that in here right now. The climate must be conducive for the growth of harvest. So not only is he going to use his words to water his womb, but he's also going to become the climate that is necessary, that is conducive for the harvest of the womb, for the harvest of his wife. So why does the Father water? Let's go back, because remember I was talking about that it's necessary for the words that are spoken to not be of a low grade frequency, but to be of a high grade frequency. They cannot just be any old words for the purpose of consuming it upon your own desires or whatever. They have to be words that are interested in the beautification. They have to be words that are intent, that the intent of the words, forgive me, this tongue is tying me up, that the intent of the words is for such as the beautification and the glory of what the words are going to, just like in the beginning. Father begins to declare, let there be. He is overjoyed by the fact that these things come into being, the glory of them express in the earth who he is. As a husband, the glory of your wife, the beautification of your wife, by you using your words to dress her, to keep her, to cultivate her, it is an expression of your glory that you use your words to water, that you become the climate that is necessary for her growth and her furtherance, because there are going to be times, over and over again, times that you're going to want to harvest, that you're going to want to reap of the harvest of who you have created in her to be. And this is everything. Let's say this, because this is everything. And I think a lot of men miss this. that whatever you give a woman, she's going to multiply it. So if you give her love, she's going to multiply that love. I'm a writer. I'm a singer. I do a whole lot of things. And it's something about the love of a husband that absolutely ignites the creativity and the production of a womb. You understand what I'm saying? Not just from a sexual perspective. Of course, it is necessary that you understand that for the woman, sexual intimacy doesn't begin in the bedroom. It begins throughout the day. It begins in your mouth. It begins in how you express yourself to her, in how you deliver uh, whoever you are to her, your approach, your handling of her, your gentleness, your tenderness, your compassion, your thoughtfulness. All of that is where intimacy begins for the woman. It doesn't start in the bedroom. While you might just be okay with getting to the bedroom and you're aroused by the fact that something that's getting ready to take place, she needs much more than that. It's not just a bedroom situation for her. It's a heart situation. It's a mental placement. Everything is so much more in depth for her. And I'm not saying that some men are not in this place, but it's a growth place. I believe for a man, this is a place that he must grow to in order to go to. Women are wired this way. And I believe that it's a human thing to function this way, but there is an original nature about how a man handles his sexuality, and it's going to be based off of everything that he's seen, everything that he's heard, and everything that he has encountered. All of that make up that man's sexuality. And unless the man begins to purify himself from what he has seen, what he has heard, and what he has encountered, then the womb that he covenants with will become subject to all of the imaginations, all of the erroneous ideas about what the sexual and the intimate experience is supposed to look like. So that was free. That's not on my list here. That was extra. Okay? So why does the Father water and cause to flourish? Why does he beautify the flower? Why does he beautify the field? Because it reflects who he is. He's not just beautifying just so he can go and pick it, so he can watch it fall over and meet its end. The whole purpose of him beautifying it is so that he can be glorified. His benefit is gained in the glory of the flower flourishing. And a husband should take delight in the glory of the flower that he waters, that flourishing of that plant, him creating the climate for that plant, for that field, for that fruit, for that flower to flourish, for that womb to flourish. He should be delighted to do so. Not just doing it for the purpose of something that he can receive, although there will be a receiving, right? There will be a receiving, because once the flowers grow, you can use them for, you can steep them for tea, depending on what you're using. You can use them for floral arrangements. It's all kinds of benefits of the flourishing of that flower, of the flourishing of that field. It can nourish you, right? You could be sustained throughout many seasons, but it's necessary that you understand that the purpose of you beautifying it is because you gain glory because of its flourishing. Okay, so the Father is esteemed by those who understand that he's the creator of this beautiful thing. The husband is esteemed by those that look upon his womb, look upon his wife, and see how well she is kept, how well she is maintained. And all of that is not just by what she wears, it's not just by what she has on, but it's by her nature, it's by her spirit. You know, all of these things are invaluable, and a lot of men don't understand just how responsible they are for all of these areas concerning the woman, concerning the womb. So husband, when you love with a pure love, you watch over your land like Yah did the promised land for the children of Israel's sake. He said, and we talked about this a little bit, he said, you don't have to worry, and neither do you have to toil over this land that I'm giving you. Because it's not like Egypt. It's not like the captive place that I brought you out of. Okay? And when I'm speaking of the father and his conversation with Israel, I'm also speaking of the husband and his conversation with the wife that he is giving, the wife that he received, the wife that he receives to assist him in moving in his destined place, moving in his kingdom assignment. As they move together, as they are merged and they move together to express this divine brand of God in the earth, and all eyes are on them, and the Father is making their name great because of their desire to glorify him. It's a lot of things that I'm dropping right now, and I'm going to come back to in a minute. The necessity to identify that this covenant, this agreement, this merger is not just for the brand as in the logo. It's for the conversations, the word of mouth that's going to take place because your brand is making impact on the lives of the people around them. So he tells the children of Israel, you don't have to worry, nor do you have to toil. This land is not like Egypt. It's not like the land of captivity that I brought you from, that I brought you out of. He said, I watch over this land myself. My eyes are on this land day and night. It's a responsibility to be a husband. My God, it's a responsibility. But the beauty of this season that I'm in is that I'm just thankful. The Father's been talking to me about a couple of things for some time. And I understand the season that I'm in. I understand the time that I'm in. And I am more than delighted to share these things with you. I've always been the person that had a lot of guy friends. Just for the record, I've always had a lot of guy friends. I don't have as many now. I do have some, but I don't have as many as I used to have. But there was always some wisdom. There was always some conversation that I was needing to have with them about female, the companion, about women, about how we function, about how we're wired, and about things that they should and shouldn't do. And now I've kind of full circled back into this. So all of you now, my brethren, all of you now have become my friend in this season. And this is why I am sharing this. I am sharing this from the place of a sister and a friend. Although I am an apostle, I share this with you men very humbly. And I'm very honored to share this information because I believe that it's going to position you for the greatest hours of your life, for the greatest seasons of your life. Because your purpose partner is going to be blessed because you have the information that doesn't bring destruction to your household. The word says that my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. And the lack of knowledge is not just any old thing. It's the lack of knowledge of who the Father is. And one of the greatest expressions of the Father in the earth is the covenant between the man and the woman. So he said, I watch over this land. My eyes are on it, both day and night. And this is, again, a responsibility of the husband to watch his wife, to keep the garden, to dress it, to cultivate it, to put the garden in a position where it can continue to flourish, and to protect it from the thing that would be outside attempting to come into the garden to compromise the promise, to compromise this place of fullness, to compromise this place of peace. It's the job of a husband to do these things. Now, the woman will maintain, she will assist in that, but it's the job of the husband to begin to create the climate and to both water with his words and to create the climate for her flourishing. He says, I watch over this land myself, and you won't need no buckets. I said on purpose, you won't need no buckets, and you won't need any irrigation systems. You don't need to have to be creative here to try to keep what I'm giving you. I'm actually going to protect it myself. This is what a husbandman is. And when we often look at the story of Ruth, and we see Boaz in that story and many other of the kinsmen, they are husbandmen. They are her near kinsmen, but they are husbandmen. What does that mean? They are those that create. Um, they create the produce. They create. Um, um, what's the word that I'm looking for? The farm, the land. They produce something off of the land. They are agricultural. Thank you, Holy Spirit. They are agricultural in nature, and their desire is to design field that flourishes. Um, they're not looking to plant and not receive. They're not looking to just cast seed without a system. They have a system, and they have seasons, and they understand the watering, and they understand the receiving. And so these are some of the qualities that make them a husbandman, because they're responsible for those things. He said you won't need any buckets and any irrigation systems, because of the fact that you honor me. And he gave them, when he put his name on them, he began to give them how to properly represent his name, how to properly put respect on his name, right? How to carry his name so that other nations would begin to see um, the greatness of his name. And so he said, because you honor me and you put respect on my name, which you have reverentially carried, I cause it to rain on the land, and I cause an unending flourishing. You remember when they went into the land? And this is when the giants were there. This is when others were in the land. The grapes were so big that they had to go on a pole between two men to be carried so that they could show them the fruit of the land. Can you imagine the massive fruit, the size of the fruit? And there's something about knowing how to cultivate, because you've seen those contests with the farmers, the agriculturalists, how they come to some kind of event, some kind of farming event, and then they have these contests on who grew the biggest pumpkin, who grew the largest tomato, who grew the largest squash or zucchini. And they have mastered the art of cultivating to the point where they have this massive fruit as a result of their wisdom and their system of cultivation. Now, you have to understand the beauty of this wisdom and this system is that the bigger the fruit, the more seeds are in it, right? The bigger the fruit, the more seeds are in it, okay? And so he says, because you honor me and you put respect on my name and you reverentially carry my name, I cause it to rain on the land and I cause unending flourishing. This is the announcement of the husband. Yeah, this is the announcement of the man to the womb man that he's in covenant with. The harvest is on me, he says. Did you hear me, husband? The harvest of that womb, of that wife, is on you. Okay? Yah is building up men, I believe, in this season, like himself, who fight for the perpetual flourishing of the land, of their womb man, of the land. He seeds it with his words. He feeds it with his words, and he sees the return on his investment. He rebukes the curse from their land, from his womb, right? And brings only the blessing. There's a lot of responsibility of a husband, and as he's taken me through this, I'm gaining more and more of a respect, for this position of the husband. We have put a lot of emphasis, or for joking's sake, emphasis, on the wife and the role of the wife, but the honesty in this is that the husband's job is massive. It's a massive, it's a mega job. Yah's building up the men like himself. And in him building them up as he is, he fights for the land. He fights for the flourishing. He fights and he rebukes the curse from the land or from the womb. And he brings only the blessing. Why? Because of the reverential connection, because of the honor, because of the respect that is put on the man's name. He fights. Are you listening to what I'm saying? For his womb. He fights for her peace. He fights for her flourishing. Okay? So being a husband is a serious responsibility. And the beauty is, through the wife, the dimension of his favor that he's receiving, the dimension of favor that's coming to him through his wife. Yah gives him grace or God ability to accomplish these massive tasks as a husbandman. These massive responsibilities are all accomplished. The Father's not looking for the man to do this by himself. He's given him the help that is suitable, that is meet for him. And if he taps in to the help that's been given, he reaps the favor of God that gives him the grace of God, the grace of Yah, the God kind of ability to accomplish this massive task. Okay? It's a very huge task, but he accomplishes this for the namesake of the living God. You know, all of this is accomplished when the Father does what he does, the watering and watching the land and watching it flourish and beautifying the field and beautifying the flower. When I'm speaking of field and flower and land, I'm speaking of the woman, as the man does for the woman. Okay, as he's doing all of this, it's for his name's sake. Yeah, because if a woman is out in public and she looks like she's impoverished and she's wounded and her spirit is broken, that's a reflection of the man she's in covenant with. Are you listening to me? That's a reflection of the man that she is in covenant with. Okay? But if she is in the world and people are seeing her and the beauty that is on her because of her spirit and because of what she exudes is a result of the multiplying of what was given to her in the form of a seed from the man. Okay? The Father does these things, and the husband should do these things for his name's sake. And in the case of how the Father moves concerning the flourishing, the watering, the climate, Yah Almighty, God of the hosts, both celestial and terrestrial, all of the earth is made available. All of the earth is seeded with what makes available everything that's necessary for the flourishing. Okay? And so even as it is with the man, all of the earth is the man's reinforcement when he decides in his heart. Listen, how the Father works this thing out, and I told you this conversation is not just for husbands currently, but for those that are desirous to become husbands, okay? The Father literally, when a man decides to be a husband, he literally makes all of the earth the man's reinforcement. Angelic hosts, both terrestrial and celestial. The earth yields its increase in every way, okay, to help facilitate when he decides in his heart to do the will of his God concerning a womb, concerning his wife, concerning the one that he will take on. The Father honors that because it is his desire that the covenant be visible, that it be visible in the earth for people to see. And so when we begin to do what the Father's plan is, when we begin to act out his plan, he begins to make the resources available for us to be advanced in everything that we're doing. So man, if you don't have what you think you need in this season, if you don't think you are all that you need to be in this season, it's not a worry, it's not a concern, because once you have decided in your heart to fulfill covenant, to do a God thing, then it is the Father that backs you with all of the resources of both heaven and earth to help you facilitate this move that you're going into, because it's for his name's sake that he does this thing. There's a reason why what you're trying to do, I want to speak to some men that have been trying to do some things and been frustrated about not being able to do some things. There's a reason why you're trying to do some things for your family, and I get that it's for your family. You just want to be able to provide. You want to be able to do all of these things, right? There's a reason why what you are trying to do to provide for your family is not, has not, and if you're a son of Yah, it possibly won't not. And I said that on purpose. Not will not, but won't not. It won't work because you're trying to make a name for yourself and not a name for your God. Man, this is a crucial key for husbands right now. This, I feel the Holy Ghost. As I am saying this thing, I feel the Holy Ghost all over me right now. And it is for the purpose of releasing this word with power, that it would impact you in your very soul, that your mind, your will, and your emotions would be impacted by this word of divine instruction concerning you and the becoming of you. He's saying that when you are desirous to make your name great, and your desire is not to make his name great, he doesn't back that. And so what he talked about, this word is, again, not just for the married, but for the desiring to be married man. You know what happened at the tower, right? And let me go back, because when you're trying to make a name for yourself and not a name for him, then you've done the wrong thing. You've mistaken how this thing works, okay? It is his promise to make our name great. It's his promise, husband or husband to be, to make your name great, that he might establish his covenant. He said it from Genesis through the prophets, just continually having a conversation. And then in what you guys consider the New Testament, right? That's what you call it, the New Testament. He begins to exemplify, or to show the activation of the making the name great. It's not just in word, it's a greater action behind it. He begins to open up the heavens and begins to say, this is my beloved son. So there's an expression that goes beyond just the fruit of a name being great. Because, Abraham, all these guys, they were great in the earth. Isaac, he was great in the earth, okay? They were well known because of their status. They were well known because of their wealth. So please don't mistake the fact that the Father wants you to be rich. Don't mistake the fact that he desires you to be wealthy. Do not mistake that fact. It's a fact that he wants that for you. However, there's a way to go about it. There's a way to go about it. So we know what happened at the tower, right? We know what happened at the tower. The Tower of Babel. We know what happened concerning the tower, right? What if you began to follow the covenant? Because they did not. They were supposed to overspread the earth. They were supposed to go into the earth and begin to be fruitful and multiply. And they decided, we're going to make a name for ourselves. Genesis chapter 10 and 11. We're going to make a name for ourselves. But what if you began to follow the covenant that you were given? What if you came into the identity of who you really are and went after your God-given purpose with all that you have? Not just the things that you've been seeking to go after that you think are going to benefit you or bring you into a place, but if you begin to seek after the Father and to go after him with all of your heart, to identify what his purposes are and how you can get in the way of this favor concerning the womb, or the woman that the Father would give you as a wife, the merger, as a covenant, as the agreement, as the suitable help for the assignment, your earth assignment. Remember how the Father spoke about the unity of the people in Genesis 11? He said, listen, one, they're all speaking the same language. Remember I talked about this yesterday. The need for the man not to come into this place of we're going to just agree to disagree. You never in a covenant want to agree to disagree. That is not the purpose of the covenant. The covenant is for agreement. And so there is a way that we do these things. There is a setup that the Father has designed to cause the relationship to flourish. And there is a place of agreement, but it's found in him, not in our own ideologies, not in our own concepts, not in things that have been handed down, traditions of our families, traditions of our fathers and our mothers. It's found in him. Unless those were examples of his goodness and his grace, which many of us did not have those experiences that way. We actually inherited the divorces. We actually inherited unhealthy relationship pattern. We actually inherited some other things, right? And so now the cord has to be cut, and the husband must leave his mother and father and must cleave to his wife, and the two must merge together. They must fuse together. They must become one flesh. So what if we went after the covenant with all our heart? What if the man went after that? And you remember what he spoke about, the unity. He said, listen, the people are all one. They are together. They are unified. And it's something about the unity that produces anything that they imagine, they will be able to do it. Nothing will be able to stop them from accomplishing whatever they imagine because of the unity. So he said, we've got to get up. We've got to get up because the unity of the people building this diabolic thing, if we don't stop them, they're going to be able to do every imagination of their heart. And imagination is not bad. I know that social media and all of these different devices have almost blocked people's imaginative force, the divine imaginative force of man. But you need to be able to have images as the Father is speaking to you. You need to begin to form the images so that you can begin to produce it, produce the substance through your faith, and then through your faith begin to do it, create the tangible resource by the work of your hands. And so he said the people are all one, and if we don't do something about this, this is a key. There's a key in that. There is a grace, a God ability that mankind has been given to do something. And if it's done in unity, let's talk about your home, sir. Sir. Can we talk for a minute? Let's talk about your home. Your home in unity, right? Not agreeing to disagree, but unity, speaking one language and doing what the Father has given you to do to provide for your family. There will be such a spirit of innovation, such a spirit of godly invention and godly imagination. Okay, there will be such a spirit of those innovation and invention. Whatever he says that you wrap your mind around as this husband, whatever the Father begins to say, that you wrap your mind, you begin to wrap your mind around. Ooh, that just threw off all the color balance here. Let's turn that back off. Whatever the Father begins to say that you can wrap your mind around and begin to create or form the images, then form the substance by your faith and then make it tangible with your hands. All because you function like he functions. In your home, you function. Your function is a God function in your home concerning your wife. I'm not talking about evil overlord or ogre. I'm not talking about like the gods of Olympus. I'm not talking about that kind of thing. I'm talking about how divine godship works, okay? It's a comforting place. It's a flourishing place. It's a place that is concerned about well-being. It's a place that by love begins to release something, right? Everything you release. I'm speaking to many levels of you right now, man. Everything you release should be from a place of love, not from a place of your burning, not from a place of just your flesh, right? But from a place of love, because when it's received that way, then the woman can continue to flourish and can continue to produce after you've given that to her. Not the gods of darkness, I said that, but the God of God. So you, sir, will be unstoppable in this hour of your life and beyond as you come into the understanding of this watering dimension, this climate, becoming the climate for your home dimension, as you come into the understanding of this unity dimension. And there's a cost for everything. I'm almost done here. There's a cost for everything. I'm doing good. Thank you, Father. There's a cost for everything. The problem is with the muted man is that he wants something and it costs him nothing. You know, David talked about, I don't want something that costs me nothing in 2 Samuel 24:24. But he begins to do a thing. And I think there's a powerful revelation in that. You need to go look at that because the Father gives David the throne. He gives him a position. And in his position, he begins to do some things that are unauthorized. And it creates an issue for what he's supposed to be covering. And things there begins to be a fallout. Ooh, it's something, so much in what I'm saying right now for the husbandman. It's so much in what I'm saying. He mishandles or he does not handle his business properly. And he begins to do something that is outside of what the Father has commanded him to do. And as he does this thing, it begins to cause a fallout. It begins to cause death. It begins to cause destruction in the camp because a price has to be paid, right? And so he talks to the Father and he identifies where the angel of the Lord is in the earth. And he goes over to the threshing floor And he begins to have a conversation because he knows that he has to restore something. There's so much in what I'm saying right now. He knows that he has to restore something. And so he begins to approach the threshing floor, and he begins to request the purchase of it because he needs to build an altar. Mm-mm-mm. Something so powerful in this. And I'm not going to try to unpack it all tonight, but we'll come back to it when we do something on the 18th or before then. Because I don't know, we're doing pop-ups right now, right? Whatever the Father is saying, that's what I'm doing concerning this husbandman, concerning this unmuting of the man. I'm going to speak to these dynamics, to these dimensions of the man in the season, because I believe that if you can grab a hold of what the Father is speaking to you as a man in this season, that you will begin to see a flourishing if you're already married in your wife that you've never seen. You will connect with the purpose partner and begin to immediately produce things that you never thought were possible in the relationship. So David has to get this threshing floor because he wants to build an altar. He doesn't want anything that doesn't cost him anything. And the Father wants to open up your mouth in this season, man, because it is at the cost of your words that you'll be justified, and the cost of your words that you'll be condemned. You'll reap the harvest of your own words, you know. You're going to either reap the harvest or your crops are going to fail. But you must respond. The unmuted man is necessary because a response is necessary for him to be in his rightful authority, his rightful position of leadership in the earth. He must speak. Okay? So all of this, what's created this dynamic of men wanting something for nothing is all of this erroneous and pseudo-relating and achieving what appears to be a reward for the acquisition, which is for the sons of Yah, if unauthorized, nothing more than a transaction of penalty and soulish bondages. I'm going to say that again because this is really important that you get this. What has created this dynamic in a lot of men concerning relationships? Because I hear you. A lot of you saying this is a whole lot, man. I didn't know that relationship or that marriage, all of this was involved. Well, guess what? There's not something for nothing. Everything costs. Even your sin had a price, right? And you were willing to do that. You were willing to live that lifestyle. Even after you saw the price and the penalty, you continued. You didn't stop to think, maybe it's something I'm doing. You just pushed it off on other people and said, well, it's them. It's not me. You didn't consider that you might be doing something that's creating these environments. Yes, you may be creating this environment based on who you're connecting to, right? And what you're connecting to and how you're connecting. So, it's going to cost you something. And the Father wants to open up your mouth in this season so that you can begin to declare what is necessary as a king and to begin to announce the climate and to speak into this woman, watering her with your words for the purpose of beautifying her. You're going to get the benefits of beautifying her, right? So all of this erroneous and pseudo relationship I was talking about, this has created this dynamic in men where they don't feel like it takes all of this. Where, and if you're a godly man, you need to understand there are systems, there are kingdom systems for every part of the life that you are saying you want to live. And so there seems to be some kind of reward for the acquisition of these relationships that you've gotten into, which often is just sexual, right? Not understanding that if these things are unauthorized, then you're receiving nothing more than a transaction of penalty and soulish bondages, right? Ungodly impressions, right? Vain imaginations, attempting to make you a host of the dark creations of one failed connection after another failed connection. So here's the truth. It is not just what you water. I'm going to finalize on this. It's not just that you water. I'm sorry. It's not just that you water. But it is why you water and when you water. Now I'm going to sum it up with this tonight. Why you water, we talked about. You're watering because you desire the beautification of the thing. And because it makes your name, it reflects upon your name. how your wife flourishes or not. It reflects. But when you water, it's just important as all the rest of that. Do you guys, if you know anything about maintaining a lawn or maintaining a garden, it's one crucial point to having the best watering uh, dynamic for that crop, that field, that flower bed, that garden, whatever it is. And that is that you don't water in the heat of the sun. You understand? Why you water, that you water, but when you water is invaluable, because if you water your grass in the heat of the sun, then the sun is simply going to scorch it. So you have to take the time, okay, to water your womb, not in the heat of the day, but in the cool of the day. There are times that there need to be expressions of this watering throughout the day. When you water is very important. You don't want to water when you get to the bedroom. That's the heat of the day. That's when the sun is raging, right? You want to water throughout the day when the sun is not raging, because your purpose is not just for you to get something, it's for you to give something. You understand what I'm saying? And when that becomes your purpose, giving something, not just for the purpose of getting something, because James chapter 4 talks about why people don't receive. So if you're feeling like you're in this position where you're not receiving, this unstoppable momentum in your life as it pertains to your relationship and where you are as a man, you may need to check the reasons why you do what you do. And if it's to make the Father's name great, I promise you he's going to back it. If it's to make your name great, then you've already lost, okay? Let's go back to when you water. When you water is crucial, because you don't want to water when you want something. You want to water before you need something, right? I appreciate y'all being here tonight. I did a little bit longer than what I would normally do, but I believe if you go and watch this tonight, if you play this a couple times and you get these things in your spirit, it's going to really begin to open up a dimension of such favor for your life as a husband. And if you are in that place where you're desirous to be a husband and you're looking for your connection, if you go into the relationship with the wisdom of the unmuted man in this season, you're going to win going in the door. A lot of people talk about, it's rocky the first several years of the marriage. You know why it's rocky? Because nobody's learning anything. People are not taught to be husbands. People are not taught to be wives. So people have to figure it out. But if you've got the information, listen, you can get a revelation and begin to manifest right away. When you get a revelation that the stove is hot, you don't touch the stove anymore. You immediately get the revelation that I should not touch that, because there's going to be a response. There's something that I'm going to feel, and there's a reaction that I'm going to get on my skin that is not going to be comfortable. So you immediately change how you're moving, and you immediately get the benefits of that change, and you never go back to that place again. So thank you for those that are coming on. I'm getting ready to get off. I love you guys very much, and I'm encouraging you to go back and to look at this again. Go back and to listen to it again, because I believe it's going to bless you tonight. The Unmuted Man, it's a powerful conversation that the Father's been having with me over some seasons of my life, and now is the time for me to begin to share what the Father is desirous to share with His Son, so that you will be an unstoppable man in this season. I love you so much. Peace to your house. And listen, you're blessed. I don't want you to forget it. But before I leave, I want you to remember this mantra. The body is not a me thing. It's a we thing. I love you dearly. See you soon for the next episode of The Unmuted Man. Peace.